Have you ever finished a movie and just thought, wow, that was perfect? Like every single piece of it just fit? Well, that's not an accident. It's not magic. It's actually the result of one single decision a writer makes before they even type page one. And today, we're going to figure out exactly what that is. Yeah, just take a second with that. One single setting that defines the entire screenplay. So what could it be, right? A killer plot twist, a protagonist for the ages, the genre. I mean, all that stuff's important for sure. But it's not the foundation. No, the real answer, it's much, much deeper. It's basically the story's DNA. And that one thing is irony. Now, wait a minute. I know what you're thinking. Irony, like from high school English class? Nope. This is something totally different. In screenwriting, irony isn't just a clever line of dialogue. It's the engine. It's this powerful, paradoxical situation that the entire story is built to explore. It really is the heart of the screenplay. So, this is the key thing to get your head around. For a screenwriter, irony is something you build, you know? It's a core setup that's been specifically engineered to get the story's main point across. It's not some spice you just sprinkle on top for a little extra flavor, nah. It's the whole recipe. Everything else comes from it. And when I say it's the whole recipe, I mean its influence is, well, it's total. A really well-designed irony leaves its fingerprints on every single page of a screenplay, all 80 pages or so. You can feel it from the very first scene to the last. So how can one single idea have that much power? Well, it's because it controls the three big pillars of any story: the theme, the character, and the plot. Let's break that down. Okay, so first up, and you could argue this is the most important one, the theme. In a great movie, the theme isn't just something a character says in a big dramatic speech, right? It's something the movie proves to you. It demonstrates it. And the number one tool for that demonstration? You guessed it, the story's core irony. They are totally connected. Here's probably the simplest way to think about it. If the theme is what your story is trying to say, the irony is how your story proves it. It's the fundamental situation that makes the audience feel the message deep down, not just get it in their heads. And when you start looking for this in great films, you'll see it everywhere. See, a really strong irony works like a thematic anchor. It keeps the story from just drifting off course. Every single conflict, every choice a character makes, we see it all through the lens of that central irony. And, when you think about the movies that really stick with you, it almost feels like they were made just to explore that one single, perfectly crafted ironic idea. All right, so irony forges the theme. Next up, let's talk about the second pillar, our protagonist. Because irony doesn't just shape the message, it also builds the main character. In fact, it's probably the most powerful tool a writer has to show us who that character really is. Think about it. A protagonist isn't just randomly dropped into a story. They are a direct product of that central irony. The ironic situation is their ultimate test. It's the crucible that's going to reveal their deepest fears, their hidden strengths, their biggest flaws, and ultimately, whether or not they can change. And this is just the most direct way to define a person. You have a brilliant detective who's a complete germaphobe, and you force him to solve a murder in a filthy sewer. Or you have a wedding planner who's terrified of commitment, who then falls in love. The setup alone tells you everything about their internal conflict. And it's an especially powerful technique for characters who are dealing with some kind of deep trauma, because the irony forces them to finally face the one thing they've been running from their entire life. Okay, so we've got theme, we've got protagonist. That brings us to our final pillar, the plot itself. The sequence of events in a truly great story, it's not random at all. It's the inevitable logical fallout from that ironic engine at the very center of it all. That's exactly right. The plot is basically just the chain reaction that gets kicked off by that initial ironic setup. The irony doesn't just sort of suggest where the story could go. It dictates where the story has to go. It gives every single event a real sense of purpose and direction. So yeah, the irony sets the story's whole trajectory, but it also controls what the source material calls the breathing of the story. That rhythm of tension and release that keeps us glued to the screen. When your plot is driven by a really powerful irony, nothing feels wasted. Every scene is there for a reason, serving that central idea. And that's why the whole movie feels so tight, so focused, and just so satisfying. So, if you're an aspiring screenwriter watching this, what does all of this mean for you? It means that your most important work happens way before you even think about typing fade in. Your first and most critical job is to be the architect of this ironic foundation. And this right here, this is the professional workflow. Now, it might seem a little backwards, but you don't start with a cool character or some crazy action scene. You start with what you want to say, the theme. Then you design the most powerful, ironic situation you can think of to test that theme. And only then, out of that perfect marriage of theme and irony, are your character and your plot actually born. This step, this is where the pros really separate themselves from the amateurs. They will spend a ton of time right here, just getting this part right. And why? Because they know that this one choice, the design of that central irony, is absolutely everything. It is the single decision that will make or break the entire screenplay. And because it's so fundamental, a screenplay's central irony becomes the ultimate litmus test. Seriously, you can look at the clarity, the creativity, and the power of a story's core irony and get an immediate and surprisingly accurate read on the skill of the writer. It's just the clearest measurement there is. So I'm going to leave you with a little challenge. Think about your absolute favorite movie. Got it? Okay. Now look past the dialogue you know by heart, the actors you love, all those iconic scenes. Try to find its central irony. What is that one core paradoxical situation that makes the whole thing work? Because I promise you, once you see it, you will never watch movies the same way again.